Well, then let me just give you some context so you kind of get an idea who you're talking to. Since we've never met, you're not exactly sure what this meeting's about. Let me give you some foundation and then we'll expand it and we're gonna kill it for, 30, 45 minutes. Um, and my goal is when we leave today, you take two or three high level things. We may talk about 10 or 15 things. We're not going to change the world in 45 minutes. But man, there might be two or three things you pull away from this that make you think differently about how to be a sales manager at a large power sport dealership in California, particularly being out of the
Absolutely.
industry for a while and so on. So we're going to make this like super interactive. Um,
That'd be great.
and I'll set some ground rules so we can be open, candid, honest, and so on. But let me just start then with so you're on a call with Dealer Advantage Group. We're primarily an automotive related training, consulting, and advising company. We're in Indianapolis, which is our headquarters. You're looking at our website. I won't navigate through it today. You can get on there at your own time and get a kind of a feel for who we are and what we do and other training opportunities that we have. Um, we take a different approach to partnerships. We're not a partner with you whatsoever. Um, we're kind of an olive branch company, and frankly, it's also a way from a marketing perspective. There's a lot of our competitors, if you will, that hire people and put the word trainer on their business card, and they've never stepped foot in a brick and mortar dealership, but they're suddenly a trainer and a subject matter expert. And so we kind of preemptively combat that in terms of a competitive set with providing these type of Zoom sessions, and we post them for public view on YouTube as well. So at some point, Raymond, you'll end up on our YouTube page and you'll see 10 or 12 different versions of these kind of meetings, different topics, different people. John has ran some who's on this call for subprime help. There's another person named Monty Summers that have done F&I or desking. I generally do kind of the leadership side of things, and then I love doing salesperson training. Uh,
Right.
and so you'll see me at kind of those spectrums in terms of what Dealer Advantage Group is just kind of promoting to the world. So that's in context, Raymond, of who we are. Um, and we also own a separate company. I referenced it earlier, and you must not use it. It's a software called iTap Menu, which is an F&I menu software platform that typically the dealerships that partner with Dealer Advantage Group also use iTap Menu. Just for reference, that website is here. Again, we'll send you some info after, and it'll give you some shortcuts on navigating exactly who you're talking to and why you should maybe consider our opinions and advice for you in terms of changes you might make, at the dealership level. Um, Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So this session is called Managers Ask Anything, and it's meant to be a pretty open forum on just that. You might be, you're a sales manager. There could have been F&I managers here, BDC managers, general sales managers. Obviously, you mentioned earlier that your owner, dealer principal, Eric, might have been on the call. We've had owners on these calls. Some salespeople come on. That's fine too. Generally, these are more foundational problems and solutions that we're discussing in this format. Um, but you'll see some of the other topics that we might cover during this here in the next slide or two. So again, you're in the Manager Ask Anything session, Raymond. So just a couple of general rules. I plan on stopping at 12:15. We're in Eastern time. So I
Yep.
plan on stopping at 12:15. We don't have to stop then. We generally put a hard stop because people, 45 minutes during the middle of a work day week or work week is asking a lot. So, but if we tend to go over and I have time afterward, we can. We might stop at noon if you're satisfied with the session and you've taken away some things that could help you and your job in the store. Number two says mute your mics. Don't do that for this, given it's you and I. Everyone else has their mics muted. So let's keep yours on so we can have a one-on-one dialogue and talk through some things. Three, we do record these, as I mentioned. We'll put this on YouTube. So you'll
Great.
see that you'll see this on YouTube. You'll see us promote it. You're probably now on kind of an opt-in, hopefully mailing list. So you'll get more content, notices from us, other training opportunities, you name it, you'll see it from us. But yeah, we record this and we push it out to the world for public view. And then at the end, you'll see a survey. It's a QR code. Just use your phone, snap it. We use that and we're kind of um, we accept all forms of survey results. You don't hurt our feelings if you give a poor grade. In fact, it helps us to be candid. We're not going to get better by pats on the back. But if you like what you see and you get something out of it and you think it's something that can help you, then give us a good score. We'll put that on our website, as a testimonial. So.
Sure.
Cool. I mentioned DAG, Dealer Advantage Group. So I formed the company in 2007, out of Indianapolis. We have dealerships now in many states, and just candidly, Raymond, we are focused on the automotive dealership. However, we have experience with power sport through our sister company, iTap Menu, which has hundreds and hundreds of power sport dealers as users of that software. As we mentioned and kind of agreed upon earlier, though, Raymond, it's still just people and metal. Um, whether you're selling a bike or a car or an RV or a boat, it's still a transaction. It's still it's a B2C transaction, but it's still a person selling to a person. So whatever the product is we're selling is almost irrelevant. Um, what you're going to hear from us today, we keep a very strict guideline. It's going to be legal, ethical, profitable, and we're disciplined on that. We don't teach smoke and mirrors stuff. We don't teach unethical practices that'll eventually come back and bite you. We also want to provide things that you can sustain and become profitable as you make those installs and changes at your store. So we stay very strict and disciplined in terms of what we provide. And frankly, things that you're hearing and you'll hear today are they've been vetted, they've been tested. We've put them out in the world. The things that fail, we remove from our training. The things that work, we add, and then we pick things up at clients too that we find that work, and we include that into what DAG stands for and what we facilitate. So again, what you're going to hear today is strict, legal, ethical, profitable. We do have an in-person training facility in Westfield. That's a suburb of Indianapolis. It's open. You can go to our website at your own time, and you can find um, the schedule there. It's no charge to sign up. That's kind of how we roll. So if you get a feeling you want to come to Indianapolis, you want to train, you want your managers or your owner. We've got a leadership thing next week in our office. Salespeople. If you're flying, if you're getting on a plane, what's the difference? Fly them to Indy, get them up here. Let us train them. So please take a look at that schedule, and you can see the QR code. I know you're driving, But the training um, um, schedule is on our website. And then,
Excellent.
yep, then this is me. I'm president of Dealer Advantage Group. I'm president of iTap Menu. We've got another product that I won't really discuss today. Another software solution called Sell More that's coming soon. And just of note, we're pretty proud of it. Dealer Advantage Group has an exclusive partnership with Lucas Oil. You know, the Indianapolis Colts play at Lucas Oil Stadium. I'm
Right.
sure you're familiar with the brand. We've created some F&I products with the Lucas Oil branding on those products. Taking a generic kind of cloudy product category and attaching a brand to it. Brand matters. And so, again, on our website, you'll see some Lucas Oil related content, and you can see our logo is integrated with theirs. So we've got a knee-deep, partnership with Lucas Oil that's available to power sport dealers through some partnerships of ours. We can refer you to those partners if you have some interest in selling Lucas Oil branded F&I programs. Um, you mentioned earlier you got into business in 1988. I was 1999. So I have 25 years of experience starting in retail, 49 years old, married with three kids, live in Indiana, born in Indiana, raised in Indiana, reside in Westfield. Again, it's a suburb of Indianapolis. So, I'm a Hoosier, and but that's a little bit about me, and both professional and personal. So let's just talk about this session called Ask Anything. So I just want to
Yeah,
lay down some rules um, that I think is important. We got to get some things accomplished. Again, we have a short time together. So let's just go
that's
through
right.
the rules. So, typically there's more people involved. It's just you. Obviously, you'll have to participate here today. And it sounds like you're open to that, which is great. We want to get uncomfortable with that. We want to come up with some problems that might be hard to fix. Maybe you don't have the answers. Maybe that's a reason why you're here, or maybe that's why Eric, your owner asked you to be here, is to look out into the world for some answers to problems. We want to help with those. We ask you to open your mind. We can face some real facts about dealerships. They all have problems. All businesses have problems, small, large. Um, Dealerships or other. So, and frankly, one of the problems could be you,
Sure.
don't take offense if that becomes the conclusion. The cool thing about that is we can create some awareness to it, and then we can make changes. Maybe we'll find that out, maybe we won't. Um,
Yep.
I hate excuses. They don't fix anything. So number three on the rules, one that we hear all the time that we have to reset new customers, which are dealership clients of ours, is we hear that our customers are different, our stores are different, and I'm just here to say that that's just not the case. They're all the same, and I'm just going to eliminate that as a quote unquote excuse right now that, your store, your customers are different than literally everybody else's. Just candidly, it's just, we don't find it to be true. Four is burden the ships. If we come up with some solutions on things, what burden the ships essentially means is you're not going to look back. You're going to have the commitment and the discipline to take some of these things that we kind of agree upon to change, and you're going to figure out a way to implement it, execute them, and sustain it. Um, you know, so burn the ships means, forget about what you were doing. We have these new concepts, approaches, processes that we're going to apply, and we just gotta, burn what didn't work, and then implement these new solutions and problem solvers, and don't look back. And then five, execution sustainability is the tough part. We can talk and talk and come up with some ideas and possible solutions until they get implemented, until they get executed, nothing's going to change. So we ask if you need some external accountability for that because you're the internal accountability. Ask
Yeah.
DAG, ask Dealer Advantage Group to step in and help. We'll do our best to do so. So here's some thought starters. I'm going to read these quickly and then I'm going to open up the floor. These are
Okay.
questions that you might want to ask, and they're just here to give you some ideas and get the juices flowing. But I might miss the mark on these, and if so, fantastic. You might have some other things that you want some help with, and we're just gonna tackle those. But just some thought starters is,
Yeah.
1 through 10. Number one is cultural. Is we hear all the time dealerships have culture issues. How do I change that? Two is, human capital is hiring good people. A lot of dealerships can't seem to do it. They ask us why or how we can help them. Three is there a way, are there ways to legitimately increase volume or growth without adding expenses? Doubling inventory and floor plan, doubling the advertising budget. Those are things that, can we avoid those type of expenses? Yet still find ways to grow, whether it's volume growth or both. Four is training. Training is very hard. We are we are professional trainers. That means that we do it full time, and so a lot of dealerships have their sales manager, and Raymond, your sales manager, ask their sales manager to train their salespeople, and our pushback is that sales manager already has a full day and a full week and a full month of never-ending tasks. Now you're going to attach a full-time job to that person. Um, Good luck. Good luck with that. We do it full time, and we don't work at a dealership. So anyway, we could talk about four if that's something you want to talk about. Five, very common. Salespeople don't use their CRM. People want help with that. Six, ghosting with customers. How do I prevent it? How do I react to it? What do I do? Ghosting's a thing. We can have an entire session on ghosting, but if that's something you want to talk about, I'm in. Seven's inventory, struggling with acquiring it. I'm not as versed on the power sports side. Um, so, if that's an issue, I want to talk about it. And I may come back and say, I don't have an answer, but I'll come back and get you one. I can crowdsource some of that and find a good answer for you if so. Then eight's pay plans. We're really big on pay plans. A lot of people have never actually created one. I can give you suggestions. We can even pencil one and put together some for you. Number nine, selling service contracts to cash buyers. That seems to be a miss for most F&I managers. I list that here in the event there were some finance managers in this meeting. There aren't, but if you want to talk about it, let's do it. And 10 is, should you provide some version of a why buy here at your dealership? You know, is that expensive but then impactful or just an expense? If that's a topic you want to discuss, fantastic, let's do it. Again, finally, the questions aren't limited to this. These are just thought starters, um, just to get the creative juices flowing. So if these aren't what you're facing today, all good. Ask away on other topics. So, all right. So I cleared through that. It is almost noon. We've got at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes left. Um, Now it's your turn. So, Raymond, as the sales manager at your dealership, other than the fact that Eric, your owner, asked you to be here, as I've gone through these thought starters, you're starting to probably think about your days, your weeks, your months, your challenges, what you guys are doing right, what you guys aren't doing right, what you guys are doing terribly, and frankly, inclusive of you, what you think you're doing well, what you maybe not, doing well or struggling with, down to something you might be just frankly terrible at, you know. Again, awareness is key when it comes to problems. And so, kind of with that being said, and that foundation, so I'm going to ask you, like, what does your gut tell you right now? What is a question or a problem that's right now the first thing? We're playing Family Feud, and survey says top answer on the board. What's the number one thing that kind of hits you in terms of what do you need help with, or what problems do you face today?
So based on what you said there, two things that stood out to me were culture and accountability.
Okay.
Those those are things that definitely we struggle with. We're a multi-line dealer and we're fast paced. We got a lot going on. We're an inner city dealer, but we operate in a more mom and pop culture in our store. Sometimes for me, it just doesn't seem to work. And we have a really tough time holding people accountable for that because it's this, you know, and it makes it for me as a manager very difficult at times. So that's something we struggle with, I think, pretty regularly at our shop.
Okay. How many salespeople do you have?
I've got five people, myself, and a assistant slash secondary sales manager who does a lot of admin functions for us.
Yeah. F and I?
F&I, we've got two F&I people, finance manager who actually has been in the business about 20 years as well. She's really good. She's strong. We have a good relationship, which is nice. Makes it easier for me as the sales manager. So I know a lot of time there could be a divide between the sales team and the F&I team. But we're pretty good there, I'd say.
Yeah. You got a bad apple?
What's that?
You have a bad apple?
Mm, not 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 really. I actually have a pretty strong team. Everyone everyone pulls their weight. We do divide some things up. Like I have like on our website, we're pretty strong used dealership. So, we have 50 photos of every used bike on our website. So I have a salesperson who takes care of those things. He takes care of all the photos. I've got another guy who does a lot of the details of the bikes. It's kind of difficult because their days are split, and that makes it real difficult to focus on the job of selling. As a sales manager, my job is to sell and to get the team selling. So again, it's a cultural thing that's been here well before I was involved.
So bad culture. Or do you have high turnover?
We actually don't have a super high turnover.
What's so
And
bad about the culture?
um, I the culture part to me is people get complacent. They're too comfortable. There's people that have been there a long time. They get into their routines, and I'm kind of glad Eric's not here as the dealer principal. He has allowed some of this stuff to go on for a long time, and we do a weekly managers meeting, and I try to push back on some of this stuff. But like I have a parts manager who's been with Eric for 25 years, and he's just going to do what he's going to do. So at a certain point, I have to just accept it. But on another level, I got to push and break through. I mean, if we're going to grow and get to the next level, we need everyone on board to be thinking forward.
Yeah. All right. I've got culture slash accountability. It ends up overlapping a lot. Given the time that
Yeah.
we have, what else, or is that, look, and I'm just going to be honest. If we fix this in 15 minutes, then you need to send me like a free bike or something. Like this
Yeah.
would be the biggest win in the history of wins if we can fix this in 15 minutes. So that being said, and this to me is like if I'm rating problems with a business, all right, I'm rating, sales, uh, turnover, I can't find inventory, training, down to the minute minimal. I can't settle a service contract on a cash buyer, only finance customers. This is like one, two, and everything else is like a mile down the list. Like you're hitting the right stuff. You're hitting the most important stuff. The rest of the stuff, I mean, it's all important, but this is like top level stuff,
Yeah.
right? So, so if I can like fix this, or at least give you some thoughts of like starting to correct it in the next 15, 20 minutes, like again, I'm gonna go on your website, I'm gonna pick out a bike, and I'm gonna send you my mailing address. Like, cause you owe me one.
Yep. You
Yeah.
got it. It's
All
coming
right.
your way.
Okay, and you can tell Eric that too. So I don't know Eric from anybody, and we just met. So what's cool about that is we're not friends, and what that means when we're not friends is I can just hit you straight, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And so first of all, I'm just gonna do culture and accountability. I'm just gonna go. And so first of all, culture starts at the top.
Yes.
You mentioned it a minute ago. You gave me a very good, well thought out, fairly uncomfortable answer. You even said, I quote, I'm glad Eric's not on the call, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Exactly.
so you kind of knew the answer, right? It's just I'm putting some clarity. I'm putting some clarity on the answer. Culture starts at the top. It's whatever Eric's doing. Right? He's letting the 25-year parts guy do whatever the hell he wants, right? He's
Yes.
not going to fire him, right?
No.
You're not going to cut him loose. And the reason
No.
people don't cut people loose like that is because it's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear that you could go down, right? Like it's good
Yeah.
enough, right? So there's a fear if I make a replacement with that, I can actually decrease. So that fear of the decrease is one of the reasons why people don't make changes. They don't think that the change could be beneficial. They get worried that the change is going to cause a decline. And so that's what we tend to see with culture. What's interesting is that you don't have a lot of turnover.
Right.
So you do have these longer term employees on the dealership space. That's very interesting. It's very different. You said country club. We have auto dealerships. I have one in my brain right now that's very successful and very poorly ran. That is a quote unquote country club. Again, it starts at the top. It starts at the top. And so if Eric's going to allow it and tolerate it, then that's frankly what it's going to be. Now, can you turn the yacht? Because that's what we're turning here. It's not a little fishing boat that we can point it left and then hit the motor, right? You're talking about a yacht that's going to take some time to get it pointed in a different direction. And will it ever go the way that you want it to? I'm going to say no, because that's how Eric does his deal. Now, if he was on this call, I'm going to talk to Eric the same way I'm talking to Raymond, the same way I'm talking to everybody else. Like
Right.
I would have said on this call, "Hey, Eric, you're the problem." You know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
and look, but Eric's also, frankly, I'm giving him some equity here. He's also a version of the good. Like you got some long-term employees. That's still pretty cool,
Oh
right?
yeah. It's a great place to work.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. So Eric's not, he's not just the bad guy. He has a lot of good, clearly, that people are willing to work with someone for 25 years. I mean, that's a long time. And so there's obviously some good in Eric, and if there wasn't, you wouldn't be working there either. So there's
well,
good there.
exactly. I think that, not to cut you off, but I think that that's where the accountability part comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
how to how to enforce that accountability with people that have become your friends over that time, right?
That's right. Yep,
And
that's
you've
right. There's
allowed
relationships are
you've
too deep. They're too deep
yeah,
to tell somebody. I mean, there's a version in dealerships of nepotism when mom or dad have a dealership and they bring in their son or their daughter, to work at the store. Everything just changed with that whole the culture changed. The found like there's nepotism that creeps in. There's a version of that over time, just with close friends and 25-year relationships. I mean, there's going to be you can't hold them accountable. Now, let me move to that because here's my version of the solution. All right.
that sounds good. That's what we need.
Yep. Here's my version of the solution that overlaps with culture. And I'm looking at my clock. It's 12:07. So the reality is the reason accountability doesn't work at 99% of dealerships and sales organizations in general is because we are typically asking the salespeople to accomplish our goals. So, as an example, Eric probably and you probably have collaborated in essence on a goal or goals for the dealership. However many units a month, average front end gross, average back end gross. I'm sure there's some parts, uh, KPIs, key performance indexes, fixed ops.
Yeah,
I mean, there's probably some, generally speaking, Eric has this goal in mind to sell X amount of bikes at Y amount of profit on the front and the back. And then you guys, and you're the sales manager, and you said five salespeople. So you're tasked to basically take those goals and push them downstream to the salespeople in order to hit Eric's goals, which are also your goals and the goals of the business. So is that
correct.
generally speaking the structure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
the overall goals of the shop, that a lot of that is stemming, obviously from Eric, but he he allows the managers to run their teams the way that they want to.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. Yep.
he gives me a lot. He gives me a lot of freedom. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, you're telling your five salespeople you each need to sell this many bikes for this much profit, and that's the goals of the business, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
we set our monthly goal. We
Yeah.
we we give each person their own personal goals. Um,
And you
and
set that by probably comparing either last month's production or last year, same calendar month's production, and coming up with a fresh goal. For example, the goal in March was to sell 15 units. I'm making it up because last month in February they sold 13. So let's show some progress to 15, just as an example.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
All right.
And
All
they'll
right. So let me
yeah,
just hit you like right between the eyes. Uh, And excuse the language a little bit, not much, but the reason you can't hold them accountable is because your five salespeople don't give a shit about your goals. Do you think they
I
really care about Eric's goals?
I don't think they care about the goals, but I think that they care about hitting certain levels on the way to hitting the goal because it's
Yeah, because
profitable
you
for them.
you've duct taped the pay plan into your goals. You've made a decision that 15 units sold or whatever the number that Eric's goal is and your goal is, you've made this decision that that's the goal and therefore the pay plan should have a carrot around that sales goal. So yeah, of course they're going to be interested in hitting 15 because you put a carrot at 15. But the reality is the number 15 is arbitrary. because that's you and Eric's goals, primarily Eric's and the goal of the business. And
Correct.
frankly, they don't really care about Eric. At the end of the day, if they get fired, they're going to go back to work tomorrow somewhere else, a competitor, or they may quit um, because there might be greener grass. And same thing. So what my point is that you and Eric work for your employees. You should work for your employees.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
They don't work for you. You work for them. And so what that means is what Dealer Advantage Group does. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Are you in a position where are you still driving?
I'm actually parked. But I can I see the screenshot and I can read it.
All right, good. Good. So did your screen change?
Yeah, I
All
see the
right.
spreadsheet now.
Yeah, it's actually a sales board. Think in your office, a large, 6 foot wide sales board.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Whiteboard type thing.
Yep. Yep. So do you see at the top with them?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's an acronym for what's in it for me.
Yep.
So the reality is if you invert the goal setting, so you have 5 salespeople, if you sat down with them and you determined what they want out of their life, whether it's money, an object, recognition, and then you reverse engineered how they can accomplish that goal at your dealership. And suddenly it becomes their goal. They set their own goal. For example, you might have a salesperson that says, "Hey, okay, what do I want out of my life right now? At this moment right now, I rent an apartment and I want to buy a house. And I need to make an extra $2,000 a month to go from renting to buying." And then you sit down and reverse engineer the fact that to make another 2,000 net, which is $2,500 gross, right? And the average commission is X, that they have to sell an additional, let's say, 8 bikes a month in order for them to accomplish their WIFM, right? So
Yeah.
then you can
Yep.
reverse engineer the behavior, right? Because now it's their goal. It's not Eric and it's not Raymond's goal, right? So they were selling 12, let's just use the number, and it takes 8 to go from renting to buying. So now their goal
Right.
is 20. It's not your goal. You didn't establish it. So now there's some depth to the goal, right? It actually means something. Your goal was very hollow. It's actually kind of meaningless.
Well,
Now
it's
the goal at
just a
20,
random number to them.
it means nothing. And again, they don't really care about Eric and getting him a second house in Hawaii. Like they don't care, nor should they care, right? So what is their personal goal? What is their personal with them? What is in it for them, right? So you got to find out what that is through one-on-one, right? You got to discover it. You got to talk through it. And then they tell
Yeah.
you what it is, and then you take the existing pay plan and you literally reverse engineer how many sales it's going to take for them to accomplish there with them. And then you can also, using the data that you likely have, can also reverse engineer the behavior. Like if you look here on this sales board, right? Can you read this?
Yes.
Yeah. So look, month to date sales path to with them, number of
Yep.
leads, number of
Yep.
visits, number of write-ups, number of sales. So you can actually basically set metrics on the behavior to achieve the with them. And now we're managing the behavior. And guess what? If it takes, for example, I'm just making up a number. If it takes them to talk to 80 leads to hit their with them,
Yep.
right? And it's the 12th of the month, and they've talked to 15 people, which means they're not on track, right?
That's
You know,
exactly right. Yep.
you know what I can say to that salesperson without penalty? And actually, it's actually the other way. It's actually a motivator. I can say, well, I guess you're not going to buy that house then, are you?
Hmm.
Because they told me that's what they want.
Right.
This wasn't
Right.
me. I didn't tell them they're going to buy a house.
Yeah.
They told me they want to buy a house. So guess what? Let's figure out today now what it's going to take for you in sales to buy that house. And once we figure out how many sales that it's going to take, then let's put together a plan, meaning your activity, in order for you to buy that house. And then now that gives me the right as the manager, Raymond. Now I'm Raymond. That gives me the right when I see that salesperson slipping or not coming in early or not staying in late or not keeping their CRM updated or not answering the leads you want the leads to be answered, right? All I have to do is come back to them and look at them and say, hey, I just guess you're not going to buy the house then, are you? So that's a different level. I'm flipping the switch here. I'm inverting the accountability because, again, you have to make this assumption that your five salespeople don't care about Eric because honestly, they probably don't, right? And nor should they. That
Well,
doesn't make them
understandable.
bad. That
Right.
doesn't make
No,
them
no, I get where you're coming from. Sure.
right. I'm in sales. I'm here to sell. I have my own motivators. I want to help me get to my motivator, i.e., my with them, right? I
Yes.
don't care about Eric's second house in Hawaii. I just don't, right? And if you're going to beat
Ab-
me up about it, then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit and go somewhere else, you know? And so if you flip it on and apply this to your people, I can promise you the because you're worn out on I can't keep them accountable. Well, they've been there 20 something years. They're pretty comfortable. The turnover's low. Hey, I get it. I mean, look, you want to create some instant like a shock to the system, hire like four or five more salespeople, flood the floor. Like
yep.
if you want to see a behavior change, like, oh shoot, my lead count just got cut in half. Like if you
Yep.
want to do that, and look, that'll work in the short term. You'll change the culture pretty quick in the short term because now I've got to actually earn my deals because my lead count went in half. I'm no longer able to just take the low hanging fruit of the leads, right? So you could shock the system and just double the sales staff. But the reality is, if you want sustainability and you want a true like cultural change and the yacht starts to turn the way you want it, right? You need to listen to your people, find out what's important to them. They don't really probably care what's important to Eric or frankly you. And that's not a bad thing. Let's find out what's important to them. And then let's figure out a path like I'm showing here with a sales board in the meetings, using like we have forms. See the form?
Yeah.
You would sit down with your staff one on one. You would go through the form. You would then take the collection of these forms and weekly in your meetings go up to the board and you would fill out the board. Now everybody sees it. There is a sense of friendly competition when you put the board up, right? There's some
Absolutely.
accountability on the fact that, look, they gave you this with them. You didn't make up the most important column on this board. You didn't fill it in on your own. You got it because you sat down with them, and the first thing you filled out with that salesperson, you can see it right here, is the with them. So that to me, again, it's 12:21. I'm already over the line here, but I can say that if you really want to change it and have a sustainability to it, to me, it's using with them to lead the staff, not what Eric wants.
Absolutely. I'm following you there. I like this idea of them uh being a part of setting that goal and having that accountability to themselves.
And here's what's cool about that. Here's what's cool about that. Again, first of all, they're going to work hard without you now having to like check in with them every 5 minutes. You don't have to babysit or parent anymore. And when you do need
Yeah.
to parent in, again, you can go back and just reference their with them, not your goal to get them back on track because everyone's going to have ebbs and flows in their life and career and their job and so on. So that's your job is to keep them more ups than downs, right? But the reality is this. Let's say your goal for the store, I'm just making it up, is to sell 100 bikes in a month. Okay.
Yep.
You
Yep.
go through this exercise with your 5 salespeople. There's a legitimate chance that when you add up the new amount of sales per person based off their WIFMs, what if the collection of those 5 actually equals like 120?
Yeah.
It probably will be higher than your number. I think the likelihood's very high. So you want to really set a goal and really lift the goal without it feeling self-served or selfish or Eric from the ivory towers pushing down to his staff with a new goal because he wants the second house in Hawaii. It's do the WIFMs. You'll get the quotas that they set for themselves. Add up the quotas. I have a sense that the collection of those will be higher than the goals that Eric and you want anyway.
Well, that would certainly be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, one way to find out.
Yep. Yep.
One way to find out. And I'm happy to at least email this spreadsheet. Now you can't fill this in. DAG has actual physical boards, right?
Right.
But you can use this and print it off and handwrite it in. But these forms you can see are fillable. Like you can see as I'm hovering over the blanks. You can sit there on your
Yeah.
computer or you can print it off and fill it in, whatever you want. I'm happy to email you these forms and knock yourself out. And I do think, well, will things change at the balance of March? No. If you commit to this and you burn the ships, as I referenced earlier, and you're like, I'm all in, I'm doing this in March, and then April's the month. April's the month. We get this all situated, organized, the balance of March. We get the one-on-ones done. We get the WIFM set. We reverse engineer the sales. We then reverse engineer the activity to get to the sales. And then boom, I kick this thing off April 1st. I have a feeling when you email me on May the 1st, you'll say that April was one of your biggest months and one of your easiest months to manage because you're no longer babysitting and parenting.
Well, that's exactly what it comes down to a lot of times, right? You're chasing them, and it's difficult. Luckily, I have a team that has bought into the use of the CRM and are really diligent about keeping that up, uh, which is excellent. But this goal setting portion of it, having them buy deeper into that would be great.
Yeah. And you're in charge of sales, obviously, and you're in charge of helping them sell. Helping people sell is very uncomfortable. And then it gets really comfortable. And then they get really good because they're comfortable. But there's a time frame of uncomfortability through insane amount of role play, right? So I'm not segueing too much because my time is limited. Role play. I will say this too. Are you married?
Um,
You have a girlfriend? You have a boyfriend? Like what do
no,
you
no, I've got a wonderful partner.
awesome. Uh
Yeah,
use that
she's great.
person's email address and secret shop your store.
Ah, there you go. That's a good one.
You'll find out real quick if you have salespeople or order takers. I can promise you. I've been doing it all morning for some car dealers.
Yeah.
This morning and last night, and it's a world full of order takers, and there's no salespeople. And I think you'll find out really quickly if you had your partner do some, you can't do it unless you want to create a burner email address. But if you have somebody that you know and trust, send some secret shopping leads in your store and then write down the response, when the response occurred, how they did it, call, text, email. Did they follow up after that? You'll find out really quick if they're actually using the CRM like you probably think they are, and you're probably right. The gut's more right than it's wrong, but you'll also find out if it's effective. You know, um, I would secret shop if your dealership a couple times. I think you'll be surprised. You might be uncomfortable, i.e., even like embarrassed. But hey, at least you shined a light on it, and then you can fix it.
Absolutely. Well, that's the key, right? Sussing out what's not working and attacking those things. Like you said, we could look at what's right all day long and pat ourselves on the back, but that's not helping us move forward.
No, it's not. And so again, if it's their goal, it's their weapon, they're trying to hit it. When you have suggestions and advice on how to sell, how to manage their activity, how to follow up, all those things, they're going to be very open-minded, right? Because you're trying to help them hit their whiffum. You're not trying to help them hit Eric's goal.
Right.
Right. So they're going to be
Right.
crazy open-minded with suggestions and training and all those things, right?
Yeah.
So there's a domino effect to this philosophy, this foundational approach to management. There's a lot of good that comes out of it. Believe me, it's not just what you see on the screen. It kind of gives you the right to manage, train, ask questions, right? Without someone getting upset, defensive, or that they just simply don't care. They nod their head at you and then they go right back to doing it the way they were doing because again, they don't really care about Eric's second house in Hawaii. So there's a lot of benefits to shifting to this kind of management structure and um, accountability structure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. What else? We're past time. What else though? You got me for a few more minutes, if anything. Questions, follow up, anything else?
I think this has been a great session. I appreciate your time and attention with it. I'm glad that it ended up being this way. Actually, a one-on-one. It really focused on a issue that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So that's been pretty good. Um, yeah, I don't have anything specific other than this. I think looking deeper at this and seeing how this could maybe work into the team and the goal setting portion of things would be great. And having the team buy into why the goals are there and what is in it for them. I think that's a big plus.
Yeah. I'm navigating obviously to our
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
our YouTube page. So, get to this page, right?
yeah.
And it's here somewhere. Hold on. Setting goals using WIFM. This is a 35-minute session from another staff member at DAG on how to do this more specifically. It's public view.
Okay.